out my Patreon account. Link is in the description.
Hello, my flock. The Badraven here. I am trying a new way of doing a review today. I'm doing this on my computer using my Streamlabs OBS, trying to add a little bit of difference to the reviews. But we'll welcome you here today. The Badraven's glad to have each of one of his flock members here. Just wanted to get this review out for my buddy, the Movie Freak 2000, Bradley. He kind of wanted me to watch this movie for a long time. And if you watched any of the movie talk chats with me and Andrew, Badraven and Andrew, I told him I'd watch it several weeks in a row. He gave me a VHS copy of this movie because I'm not even for sure if it's on DVD. It was set in the 90s. And somehow I'd never watched it growing up. I don't know why it slipped through the cracks. But I am doing a review today on, you guessed it, The Paperboy. Alright, what can I say about The Paperboy? This one, it felt to me, I guess you could say it felt to me like it was more of a, how can I say it, more like a TV type movie. Like I said, it was a movie that Bradley gave to me to watch, and I have been putting it off, but now I've finally been able to watch it. So I want to do my review of it. It's called The Paperboy. It came out in 1994, and it was directed by Douglas Jackson. I don't know anything else he's ever actually directed before, but like I said, it felt like more like a TV movie, even though it did have some horrific scenes. I guess I wouldn't say horrific, but I'd say violent scenes, mostly with elderly people. He did strike several younger people. He was the kind of character that would do stuff, kind of let accidents happen to you. So that's what he were kind of dealing with. This is a synopsis of the movie. A homicidal 12-year-old paperboy becomes obsessed with a woman and her daughter next door, and he'll do anything to make his fantasy of the perfect family come alive. Now, when I watched this movie, it kind of reminded me of Psycho because of Norman Bates. Norman Bates had the mother issues, and this kid has mother issues also in it. So he's a lot, well, I don't know when Norman started going wacky, but this kid starts early at 12-year-old, and he has this weird obsession with the perfect family. And you don't really show it, but they allude to about his mother being killed at the beginning of it. And the whole story starts out with him killing the next door neighbor so he could see the daughter come back home, so he could have her as his new mother. Because I guess the woman next door told her about her family and everything, and he really wanted to have that in his life too. So he figured killing the grandmother would make her come and her child be there, and they could become, a complete family. I'll name out the characters here. We got Alexandra Paul. She plays Melissa Thorpe. That's the one that he wants as his mother, basically. And she's newly divorced, and I don't know, newly divorced, but she's divorced, and she has to come back and move in because of her mother dying, because of what happened. The character Johnny McFarley is played by Mark Marriott, and the little girl, the daughter, was Cammie Thorpe, was played by Bridget Tierney. And I have another person in this movie, which I didn't know was in it by the box cover art, was my favorite Greatest American Hero television show back in the day, was William Catt, and he played Brian. I have done one of his reviews of his movies here recently on the channel, which was House. I really like his acting in this. You had Frances Bay was the actress who played Mrs. Rosemont, and this was a character that the Johnny character, the crazy kid, the 12-year-old psychopath, would call you would say was a witch, and because she told everybody that he was bad news and that he had been born under the mark of Cain, which I assume is like Cain and Abel type thing, biblical type thing. So he didn't like her either. So we get a lot of that type of stuff in this movie, where he is like he's 12 years old, and he's got a. Let's get back to the beginning of this movie. This movie is called The Paperboy, and what's just strange is at the beginning you see him delivering papers, and you may have one scene in there somewhere where he's actually showing the little girl Cammy his route, and then there was another part where he puts a newspaper on top of Melissa Thorpe's. That's the one he wants to be his mother. Car. So that's only references to a paper boy in it, and they call him the paper boy, I guess, because he delivers papers. But as far as it being basically a lot about the paper boy's deliveries and stuff, not so much. It just seemed like that was just an easy thing to name it, because it wasn't really another name to name it, like Crazy Johnny or something, bizarre like that. So they just kind of threw it in there like that. So that's why it was kind of strange. But it's basically Psycho with a 12-year-old boy. He gets very angry when things don't go his way with Melissa and Cammy. Then when they don't want to do stuff with him and stuff like that, he gets very violent. He goes back home and he slams his head against things. Said, I don't want to be bad. I don't want to be bad. I want to be a good boy. He's just basically psycho out of his mind, crazy, deranged child. And you find out when he takes Cammy down into the basement of the basement of the funeral home, and he says, lay up in the coffin. He said, one time, I was a year ago today that I fell asleep in one of these coffins, and I had a dream of your mommy coming and us being together, the perfect family. And needless to say, Cammy, which is really a young girl, no, this is kind of freaky. The boy's like he puts like a one of those little monitors, like a baby monitor. He puts it like in her house, in Melissa and Cammy's house next door, so he can listen to their conversations. He's got the other end of it at his house. He can tell what they're doing, know what they're saying, and they pick up really early that he's kind of knows too much about them, and he's very always in the way, and always too helpful, and he's always just a bad kid in general. They have there was a next door neighbor named Brenda, played by Karen Dyer, and she's like doesn't like the boy either, and then she's kind of a loose character in it. She's like running around with boys. She's always sneaking out of her bedroom, and she makes a comment to Melissa and says that this paper boy is a crazy kid. You need to stay away from him. So Johnny gets all upset, and the way he gets her back is way his psycho way. He waits till she just climbs up this like antenna to get into her room. She's like 2 stories up, to sneak back and forth into her room so her parents won't know that she's like going out with boys. So he gets her back for her to squirt him with a water hose, because she was like spying on her and her boyfriend. He just takes the screwdriver and he unscrews the screws to the antenna, so when she tries to climb up or get into the window, it falls down and she breaks her spine and becomes a paraplegic, I think he says, and that's how he gets back at people. He's just totally, takes it to the next level. Bizarre kid. And that is basically the story. When Melissa starts dating Brian, the William Catt character, it drives Johnny crazy, because he cannot even think of anybody being with his mother, in his mind mother. So he takes it out on him. He tries to kill him with a baseball bat and tries to burn up his garage, but he luckily survives, which leads to the ultimate ending of it, when they finally he's like chasing Melissa. Johnny is chasing Melissa outside the house with a pickaxe, and he ends up breaking it in the ground, and she's like fighting with the axe away from him, and like when the cops pull up, she's like Melissa's got it like up in her hands, like ready to kill Johnny, and he's like, no, she killed me, she killed my father, she did all kinds of stuff. And then they come out of the police car. Here comes Brian, where he didn't get killed after all, and he's like, no, it's all been an act on him. So they throw him in the police car, and he's like banging on the windows at the end of the movie, saying, no, I'll be a good boy, don't take my family away from me and all this. So he's like totally out of his mind crazy, and they catch him at the end, which makes a very good ending for me, because he doesn't get away with it. I hate the movies where they always get away with it and there's always chance for a sequel for them, especially a kid like this. It's very, very deliberately cruel and mean. I like it that he finally gets what's coming to him. So I don't know if you've ever seen this movie. This is the first time I ever watched it. I was, like I said, Movie Freak 2000 wanted me to watch it, and I finally watched it, and I'm glad I did. It's a decent movie. I mean, I was captivated through the whole story. It's your basic Psycho series type movie. So if you're liking that kind of stuff, this is right down your alley. And I just want to know, leave a comment if you've watched it before. Tell me what you think of the movie. But does it make you want to see it anyway? I don't mean to give everything away in the movie, but it's such an old movie. I figured it's probably so obscure that you probably won't even know that it exists. And even though you know some stuff that's going to happen, the movie, I think you'd really, really enjoy it. So I'm just going to say I appreciate everybody watching. And check out my Patreon account. If you want to become a Patreon supporter, you can for just $1 a month. Check in my link. I linked there in the video at the beginning, told you all about it. Become a Late Bad Birds. I really, really would appreciate it. And also, I want to thank you for watching and coming back and seeing us there at the Bad Raven's Nest. And I like to say, remember, the Bad Raven is your friend. And we're going to let you go, and we'll talk at you later. And goodbye.